9. Yeah.
Okay. That'll work out just right then. So yesterday when we did this, it told me it was preparing the YouTube live, and we were already live. When I went back and watched the video, we were live on YouTube. It says done redirecting to YouTube, and this is the second time that I've gone live to YouTube.
Showing on my end, it says meeting is now streaming.
Now. Yep. That's right. All right. Awesome. So we are live here with Andrew Johnston on 1000 Dad Jobs. We're doing YouTube 2 days in a row. Facebook doesn't want to cooperate with us, and I'm perfectly happy doing it all here on YouTube. Welcome, Andrew. And why don't you tell me, first of all, you just celebrated a birthday recently. So walk me through some of your birthday adventures.
Well, thanks for having me on, Christopher. And you know that my birthday was spent in Vegas, right? So are you sure you want me to go through, walk you through all those adventures?
Well, maybe what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but I know that you have like a tradition of having a great adventure every birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was everybody was joking. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, what'd you do in Vegas?" And we had a blast in Vegas. We definitely kept it pretty mild, I guess, for what I hear, from Vegas sometimes or hear about Vegas. But yeah, my girlfriend and I about 4 or 5 years ago started just we're like, all right, every year, we were both working 9 to 5 jobs at the time, and we're like, let's just make it just something like, let's make it a kind of a ritual or just kind of something that we do every single year that forces us to go on a vacation. And so we were trying to think of like when we wanted to go. And I lived in Kentucky most of my life, and my birthday's in January, and the weather was just terrible. Like, I mean, I dreaded my birthday, because it was like one of those things that was just like always snowing, sleeting, hailing. I mean, something, it's like always happened on my birthday. And, it's like I'd be like trying to get people to go out, and they're like, it just snowed, a foot, or it's like, no, it's like we can't even drive. The roads are completely ice over. So we moved to Florida, and we're like, all right, weather's going to be good here, but let's make it a ritual anyways to always travel somewhere on our birthdays, go do something. So every January and every August for her birthday, we try to do, some big adventure, or at least, get outside and go somewhere where we haven't been. It doesn't always have to be something crazy or, death defying, but something that we enjoy. So this year we picked Vegas, and yeah, I had an absolute blast. I've never been to Vegas for fun. It's always been, all work and no play. And so this year I left the computer at home, and even turned my phone off for most of the time. And, we just went out and had a blast. Like I said, we started off the birthday doing some sand buggies out in the Mojave Desert. And I mean, these, it's kind of, I was like, all right, we're going to kind of take it slow, go around. And I mean, this guy was like, hey, drive this thing like you stole it. And he's like, don't let up unless you're scared. And I mean, I kept it pedal to the metal the entire time. I mean, we're catching air going off these dunes. My girlfriend was with me, so she's screaming. Of course, it's like the entire time we were out there for about 30, 40 minutes. And, it's just absolute, like I said, just incredible time. And I definitely recommend, if you get out to Vegas to do that. The rest of the trip, we met up with some friends. They kind of showed us around, went to, of course, you got to go hang out on the Strip, when you go to Vegas. And so we went to some of the restaurants, went to like Gordon Ramsay's burger place, which, everybody talks about how expensive everything is on the Strip. And, that place was actually, it was pretty good. It was also reasonably priced. They were like, oh my gosh, it's, going to be like a $30 burger. And we went in there, it's about a $15 burger, like very definitely worth it. And then, it was right across from the Bellagio. We went to some shows, which of course you have to do out there. We went to a magic show, Matt Franco, if you've heard of him. And, it's like, ever since I was little, I love going to the magic, going to magic shows, seeing magic. I mean, some of that stuff, I don't even try to figure out how they do it, right? It's like some people are sitting there and they're like, yeah, I know how he did this, or that's not real, or, it's like, that takes the fun out of it. You just got to go, you got to enjoy it. And like I said, just be amazed, right? And, we all want to be kind of amazed sometimes. So it's like brings that child, back to me seeing that. So, but yeah, overall, like I said, it's excellent time out there. Have you been out to Vegas?
I actually grew up in the Mojave Desert, and
oh, wow.
I grew up around Vegas. I lived in Bullhead City, Arizona, which is right across the river from Laughlin, Nevada. So we would go across the river and go to the gambling sites all the time, but I was too young to gamble. And then when we did go out to Vegas, it was like, and especially growing up in Laughlin was a very diverse culture. Like the people who live in the area are kind of standoffish. They're like the cactus. They're like the coyotes. They're like the wildlife in the desert where they don't really let anybody in. But once you get in, they're like loyal for life. So meeting people like that and then seeing them go to the casinos with $100,000 a year job and a house and a family, and then the next weekend maybe they're living under the bridge. It kind of turned me off to professional gambling. But I did have some friends who were like, their job was, we're running a little low on cash. We're going to go to Vegas, pick up $10,000 and come back. And they knew how to work the system. And this was back in the early mid 80s. So it was possible back then. Like, so when I go to Vegas now, and the last time I went was when I saw you
a couple years ago,
60 feet in the air on a trapeze, nothing death defying there. And so when I go to Vegas now, the dynamic is so different because it's kind of like a theme park for adults now. And it's all about making money and it's all about marketing. But when I grew up, it was all about the mafia and laundering money. So you had the opportunity to go there and walk away with a lot of cash because they were trying to give the cash away. There was a purpose for getting rid of the cash.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, it's definitely changed now. I mean, they have over 19,000 people, or no, not people, 19,000 conventions a year come to Vegas. I mean, that's over 50 a day, throughout the year. And so they're marketing. I mean, if you want to study marketing, study Vegas. It's crazy how they work with the airlines even to lower the ticket prices and, just to get people to coming into Vegas. And like I said, over 19,000 conventions, a lot of the hotels are over 90% capacity, booked all the time. I mean, they're absolutely, they know what they're doing. And, it's all those nice hotels, all those nice hotels and casinos being built. They're not all being built because people are, making money, right? It's definitely one of those things that it's a good thing you mentioned that it's one of those, what's the saying that you don't gamble with what you can't lose, right? So that's what I'm not a professional gambler, so that's what I was out there and was like, all right, here's $100. This is what I'm going to spend. I'm either going to win or I'm going to lose. And I think I left with $10 left. So,
so one of my tricks going to Vegas, when I was living in Italy, it would cost me a lot of money to go home if I was going to fly direct because, Laughlin, Nevada didn't have an international airport. They have a semi-international airport now. But Havasu was kind of like where we would go into land. We'd have to fly into Phoenix or we'd have to fly into LA. And the ticket prices were astronomical to fly all the way across the United States and then come back. Okay. But I could fly into like Reagan International for a quarter of the price. And then I could get a gambler's special for $100 and fly from Reagan to Vegas. And there's always free buses going from Vegas to Laughlin because they're drawing people out. And they not only give you, like the gambler's specials, they not only give you a free bus, but they give you coupons for free meals. They give you a $19 hotel stay, and all these coupons and stuff. And then some of them too, they'll give you like $100 in chips. So we would fly into Vegas, gather up all our stuff, get on the bus, go to Laughlin. And I'd just tell the bus driver, hey, we're not coming back with you. We're staying in Laughlin. And they'd say, whatever, so long as I know. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'd, go visit my mom and stuff like that. So that worked out pretty good.
Yeah, there you go. Gotta figure out the system.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, so speaking of meeting in Vegas, we were put together through a business opportunity online, and then we started to get to know each other online. And then I flew into Vegas from South Korea. You flew in from Florida, and I caught a cab over to the trapeze. What is that? What is that, school or?
Yeah, it was a trapeze school, where we decided that we are going to do a little team building exercise, with everybody that we met online. And it takes a lot of trust in people, when you're hanging upside down and spinning through the air for the first time to be able to reach out. And, so you got to conquer some fears to climb up a 40, 50 foot ladder and stand on a platform that was, I think it was about maybe a 2 feet wide, or about 2.5 feet wide, and then 2 feet back. And, you're looking down and there's a net, of course, but still, still a little breathtaking.
Well, yeah, even at the end, that's all you have is the net. So first thing you're thinking is, I need to reach out and grab the trapeze. And then you're hanging up there and you're hanging by your legs looking down and you're like, I don't see anything underneath me but concrete.
Yeah.
So how did that feel to just let your legs go and trust your instructor that you were going to be okay?
It's one of those things that I've been skydiving, I've been bungee jumping, and those things, I'm not gonna lie, even the trapeze, they scare the crap out of me, but I do those things, because that's what I want to. I'm always pushing myself to kind of break my fears, right? Get out of my comfort zone. It's one of those, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? It's a big thing that Tony Robbins is always talking about. And so I forced myself to do these things to get out of my comfort zone. And, so that's, the trapeze was just, again, it was just one of those things that I was like, okay, climbing up here, I'm not a huge fan of heights. So I'm climbing up this ladder and I'm like, all right, don't look down. Crap. You always look down. And then, this woman's just talking to me and she's like, all right, you just reach out, the bar is going to swing your way, reach out and grab it. You're going to spin, put your legs up, hang upside down. And then there's going to be a guy on the other end that's going to reach out his arms and you just grab his wrist or grab his forearms, let go. And he's going to spin you, kind of through the air and, you let go and land on the net safely. And I was like, oh, well, that doesn't sound too bad. And then you get up there, you start kind of sweating a little bit and you're like, okay, I grab, what do I do? And you kind of just got to just let everything go. It's kind of fight or flight, right? You just got to say, all right, I'm doing this. It's going to happen. And I'm going to go with it and trust my instincts. And I think that, I really enjoyed that exercise and that team building exercise that we had, because it's so much like business, right? It's so much like online business that you can sit there and you can question yourself and, overthink it and do all these different things, but you just got to go into it, right? Just like you did with, these business opportunities, just like I have, online. And, it's one of those, we have this part of it, a part of us is always saying like, oh, what if this fails? What if this doesn't work? What if, in the trapeze, what if I miss the bar and I fall, right? And you always think maybe there's not always a net there. But it's one of those is trusting in yourself and saying, okay, I'm going to grab this bar. I'm going to, do what needs to be done. And, I'm just going to make it happen. Right. It's just, this is how it's going to work. It's plan A. There's no plan B for it.
Yeah. And I like how you liken it to an online business, because the goal is to get back down to the ground, right? Like you have a specific goal that you have to meet, but you can't start with the goal. The first thing you have to do is take that first step to go up the ladder. And when you're only thinking about taking the next step, then you're still striving towards your goal. If you're standing at the top of the podium thinking, I need to get back down to the ground, you're going to miss the trapeze when it comes your way. Like you have to focus on the trapeze next. Then you have to focus on the guy in front of you. You have to follow that next step for step. I like what Stephen Larson says is he calls it like the yellow brick road to success. He says, follow the yellow brick road until the yellow brick road ends. Then don't try and skip to Oz. Just place the next brick. Like figure out what your next step is. So kind of
Absolutely.
a similar.
Yeah, definitely. You can't overthink it. And, Robert Kiyosaki says something very similar that, he goes into life is much like going to the gym. It's getting there is actually the toughest part, right? But it's taking that first step. It's getting to the gym. And once you get there, you feel better and then you start working, right? So if you get in there, if you, just like going up that trapeze, it was the first step. I had to say, okay, I'm taking the first step onto this ladder. And then once I talked myself into, okay, get up, get on this ladder, start climbing up, then I just started working towards the end goal, right? Like you said, towards getting back on the ground. But it was one step at a time that I was, that you're thinking of.
So you're back in Florida now.
Mm-hmm.
and you're living in Florida, but you haven't been living there for the past year or so. What have you been doing for the last year?
Yeah, my girlfriend and I love travel. It's one of those. It's just like I don't know if you want to call it a hobby or just kind of something that we've adapted in our way of life and just making it work. And some people strive to have cars or big houses, and one of our things is that we make it work. Everybody asks us, how do you travel all the time? How do you get to go all these places? And it's because we've made it a priority. And we just actually moved back from the UK, Scotland to be exact, and it's definitely our favorite country. If we love Scotland, and I know that's where your family's from, isn't it? Kind of your background, ancestry.
Yeah, right.
Yep. And so that's mine too. And we just absolutely love the people, love the way of life there. Andrew Carnegie, someone who I've really studied with, and read the book Think and Grow Rich, and a lot of it really inspired me hearing his story. And going over there, and we actually stayed in Dunfermline where he grew up and where he invested so much money, and you can tell just like how much he put into the city, and I mean millions of dollars, and just how people are still benefiting years from it. And so it was really a great place to spend our time, and especially as an entrepreneur, and really be able to hang out there, see what another entrepreneur, one of the just richest men in the world, and who was an immigrant right from Scotland to the US and knew nothing about steel, and just created this entire steel company, and ended up selling it, and then coming back over to Scotland and just doing, like I said, some amazing things over there. And we absolutely just have fallen in love with the Scotland and the UK. And from there flights are so cheap through Europe with Ryanair and different I think EasyJet and different things like that, that it's like we went to Portugal and Spain and Belgium. And actually Belgium was so random. I was like, hey, there's a 17-pound flight this weekend. Do you want to jump on it and head over to Belgium for a little bit, see what it's like? And we got there, and it's kind of cooler, and people were like, Americans? And like, yeah, like, what are you doing in Belgium? What's there to see in Belgium? And it's like, well, we've had waffles every single day and fries, and it's
a real Belgian really waffle. How do you get a flight for 17 pounds? That's ridiculous.
You just got to kind of be open to we kind of had a home base in Scotland, so we were doing Airbnbs over there, and I just kind of got on google.com/flights, and you can look there and in an incognito window, and you can see all the flights kind of around. You can search Europe, and they'll show $230 to Portugal, and then $80 to Madrid, Spain. And then I saw that one, and it said $17 for Belgium or to Brussels, and I was like, no way. And I clicked on it, went through the dates, and it's like, oh, all right, this weekend we don't have anything planned, so let's go. And of course they charge you for every little thing there on the flight, but if you take a carry-on, or not even a carry-on, like a backpack, so like a personal item, you just have a backpack. And we stayed there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and flew out Sunday. So backpack was fine, just throw a couple clothes in, a couple changes of clothes, and got to experience a new country. So
wow, you must have burned through some visa pages in your passport doing that.
Yeah, definitely have a few stamps now.
So you and Megan, speaking of Megan, you guys are like my favorite power couple, because
well, thank you. Appreciate it.
You guys are so perfect together, just a beautiful couple, and all of your images are amazing. And you're always reaching out to me like, what can we do to make this image better? What's your photographer's eyes say about that? I'm like, don't even touch it. It's beautiful. It's real. And that's what I love about all of your images.
Yeah, we're definitely not professional photographers like yourself, but yeah, we do our best with our with our iPhones, and we do with what we can. We used to carry around cameras, and I've broken so many lenses, and traveling and doing things. We just it's like, okay, I give up.
Yeah, one of the best pieces of advice I got when I started getting into photography was, if you want to take beautiful pictures, find something interesting and take a picture of it. Like so many snapshots are just taken. Like, I mean, I take a lot of pictures of food because that's kind of one of the things that I do. But so many, like just go through Instagram and you can see how many boring pictures are put online. But if you're in front of something interesting, it instantly catches the eye of other people. For me, it's emotion. I love to take photos of emotion. My food, not very emotional, but at the same time,
Brings out a lot of emotion though, right?
Yeah, my wife is such a good cook. I just can't help it. I want to like document everything she makes for me. It's just she plates it all and she puts like the asparagus across here and 3 drizzles of gravy, and I'm just like, it's just
Oh wow.
beautiful.
So yeah,
Just
she's
knowing
an
that she
artist.
put that much care into creating lunch for me, that's going to be gone in 45 minutes in a day. I just want to save it. I want to savor it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I understand that.
So what are you working on now?
Oh, something new every single day, just about. But no, right now I'm actually putting a lot of focus on, speaking of my girlfriend, on her business. That we came back, and when we moved back, our visa was only for about 6 months over in Europe. So we came back, and we're like, all right, let's get a place. Let's kind of get a home base here in Florida. Decide if we want to try to do something a little bit longer, in Europe, and what kind of visa. And we decided to get a home base, and kind of take a step back actually from both of our businesses. We've been, I'm in my early 30s, and it's one of those things. I believe that, hey, while I'm young, while I have the energy, I need to hustle, right? I need to hustle. I need to go. I need to grind and just do as much as possible, right? Just all the time. Well, she's the opposite, and she actually wrote a book called Balance Out, and I believe you actually got a copy.
I have a copy of it.
And she's all about taking time, not hustling, not working 12, 16 hours a day, but kind of balancing everything out, right? To, make sure that you're taking time for work, but also taking time to relax, meditating, taking time for your family, and it's everything, taking care of your health, right? And I mean, if it wasn't for her, I would be in my office, 20 hours a day, just, working, doing stuff. So she's good where she pulls me out and she's like, all right, let's go on a walk. Let's go do something, let's take a break. And that's kind of what we came back to the States to do, to kind of step back, take a break from both of our jobs and kind of look in what direction we want to go to. So right now I'm working, she had released her book a few months ago, and now we're kind of doing like a relaunch of it. And there's a challenge with it. So I'm kind of helping her get all the marketing. She calls me kind of like the tech guy of it. And cause she, we find our strengths, right? So you're talking kind of about, the whole power couple. And it's the biggest thing is knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses, right? And complementing each other. And she can write content all day, Facebook posts, Instagram posts, blogs, I mean, everything. She's a writer. She loves to do that. And I'm one of those people that I'll write when I'm inspired. So that might be tomorrow, that might be a week, 2 weeks. And so, but, to kind of be omnipresent, which, as an online entrepreneur nowadays, attention's the number one thing, right? It's the currency. And to be an online entrepreneur and be a successful one, you have to be omnipresent, and you have to always be grabbing the attention, of your viewers. So, me putting something out once or twice a week, it's not always going to be that attention grabbing. I'm not going to have the attention. So that's where we kind of were like, all right, let's partner up here and focus on, her business, and then focus on, my business and what I'm doing. And so we're focusing right now on kind of getting her book relaunched, and she's running a challenge and doing some things with that. And then also coming out with a membership site and a few other things that I probably shouldn't give away yet. It's going to be a surprise.
Awesome. Awesome.
But yeah, we're excited about it.
So tell me how you kind of went from the corporate world over to being motivated to working online.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, like you, I was in the military, and I ended up doing, my 4 years and getting out and going to college. And when I got out, I decided like, okay, I don't want to be in the military. It's a little bit too structured. It takes a lot of my creativity away. I know that I want to get back into the civilian world. And, don't get me wrong, loved my military experience, learned a lot. It kind of, reshaped me. I was, I went in kind of being an idiot and, just kind of being young and dumb. And I learned a lot from them, and, a lot of leadership skills, and, the story on it. And so I came out of there and went into college and finished up and got a degree in finance, and started kind of looking at jobs, and ended up moving down to Florida and got a job with a pretty good company, Fortune 500 company, and was like, all right, this is what I want to be doing. This is what I went to school for. Kind of the whole dream, right? The American dream that everyone always talks about. And it's like, all right, where's the white picket fence? My house. And get a nice car, commute to work every day, find a wife, so on and so forth, right? And about 3 years, about 2.5 years in, I I was just kind of thinking, I was like, is this the life for me? Is this what I really signed up for? Is this what, this isn't exactly the dream that I originally had. And I walked into work one day, and a bunch of people had gone on strike, and made this big, they made a big settlement with them, and worked in. And they were like, hey, we're letting some people go, and one of those people, that's is you. And kind of, I mean, obviously threw me off. I was kind of like, I all right. I'd been thinking, and I had been kind of looking at online opportunities, and had actually joined one, but it was kind of, I kind of dipped my toes into it, right? I hadn't taken that full step we were talking about earlier. I just kind of dipped my toes in the water and was like, this, feels all right. I'm not sure. I got this job, and it has benefits, and it has, right. And I kind of kept going back to the job and the security of it. And so now my security was gone. And I remember calling my girlfriend up, or she called me actually, and she said, hey, what are you doing? Are you on lunch? And I said, yeah, I'm home. But I'm not on lunch. I actually just got let go today. And she was like, oh, haha. She's like, well, I'm going to be home late. I'll see you when you get home tonight. So I was like, okay. And so she came home, and, a little bit early actually, and I was supposed to still be at work. And she was like, what are you doing here? Did you get off work early? I was like, no, I've been let go. It's like, really? And she's like, oh my gosh. And she's like, well, what, do you have some money saved up? And we just moved into an apartment, and it's like, the cost of that. And I was like, I don't have a lot. I was like, I honestly, maybe for a month. I was like, we're good for about 1 month. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I got in this online opportunity, about 3 or 4 months prior. And I was like, I think I'm just going to go all in on it. It's the freedom. It's, it just didn't feel right for me to go and look for another job right away, because, like I said, I'd been thinking about this freedom, and I, realized that I wasn't truly happy, sitting in a cubicle and just melting under these, fluorescent light bulbs, right? And just dying a slow death under them. And so I decided to go all in with a direct sales company. And, I guess 30 days, rent was coming up after 30, 45 days. And, she was like, hey, she's like, what's going on? How are you doing? Are you picking up pace? And I was like, actually, I was like, yeah, I was like, made about 1,500 this month. That covers the bills. I'm going to just keep going all in. And, once I had dedicated myself, it was literally, I didn't sit down and sit around and wallow about, poor me, I've been let go from my job. What am I going to do with my life? This was my identity. I thought I was going to retire there. Instead, I pivoted, made that change, and just decided to go all in. And, actually met you around that time. And, heck, what was that now? 3 years ago?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, about 3 years ago. And, shared the opportunity with you. And, we ended up doing some great things, meeting some great people. And,
yeah, we had a fantastic team.
Oh, absolutely.
So you were let go. You kind of had the idea to work online. You went into that, and now you work online full time, and you travel the world, and you do these amazing things on your birthdays. But it didn't go from being let go to traveling the world. What were some of the struggles that you had to go through when you first started working online?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's a lot of companies have what they call kind of like mastermind events, right? And ours was in, I think, October of that year. So I've been let go in, it's like August or September, and wasn't making a whole lot. And they're like, you need to get to this event. You need to meet the people who are, who are making the money, who are doing the things, who are, who have been in this game for a while, and you need to learn from them. And I think that getting a mentor is one of the number one steps of really kind of getting into this online space, right? Because there's so many things out there on YouTube, so many things that, and people are like, oh, it's all free. It is. But what a mentor can do, or, even a training, can take all that content and they can put it in steps, right? And so it just kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the steps. If you get on YouTube and you search how to make money, right? Or get on Google, how to make money, we've all kind of been there. You're going to come up with a million things. You're going to get overwhelmed, and there's not going to be, there's not like a guided, there's not that yellow brick road that you mentioned earlier. So biggest thing is they were like, you got to get here in November. And it was actually in Las Vegas. And I was like, okay, I just paid rent. I have $200 to my name. I was like, what the heck am I going to do? Well, I ended up finding one of those cheap tickets to Vegas. It was like $100-something. Ended up talking to a group of people, and we all split in an Airbnb. And I mean, literally just like, I had change like in my pockets, like by the time I got back to Florida. But what I learned from that event, just shot my company, shot everything, completely forward into like, okay, I came back motivated and was like, this is it. This is what's going to happen. Literally I had less than $10, to my name. You always hear those stories, and, it's like, okay, my savings is gone. There's nothing in my account. I have no other choice, right, to be, except to be successful here. And, so like you said, it was not always good times. There was a lot of stress, a lot of, it's like, luckily I had someone like, my girlfriend to be there, and, she would just be supportive through the entire time. Right. She wasn't pushing me like, hey, you should get a job. She trusted me, and I just kept moving forward. And then January came, and, it was my birthday, and she's like, we got to do something on your birthday. And I was like, no, I was like, we're still building this business. I'm not sure. And she's like, nope, we said, no matter what, we're doing something on our birthday. And so I was like, all right. I was like, well, let's see what I can find. We went to Costa Rica, and I was looking at Costa Rica. I'm like, okay, I can still work on my business. I have, there's good Wi-Fi down there. Well, we get to Costa Rica, and every place that we're staying, had terrible Wi-Fi. it was absolutely horrible. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get online. I can't do anything. I set up all these automations and, all the stuff that you kind of teach and talk about, with emails and funnels. And so I'm like, all right, just please, Lord, let these things be working, while I'm gone. And, it's like, I'm just going to, I have no other choice. I'm going to have to enjoy my time down here and just pray that it's working, and that I come home and that there's some sales. And so, we were down there for about 2 weeks. I came back to Florida, and I had 3 sales, and 3 sales with the company that I was working with at the time equaled about almost a little over $2,000. And I was like, oh, it was my biggest 2 weeks that I'd had ever. And, I was like, oh my gosh, I was just like, and that's kind of when I was like, all right, now let's build the momentum. I have things on automation. I have these things, and it can work. Right. And before even the $2,000, we hear the big numbers, that the year prior, I literally got online and I'd made 49 cents. And that was like my awakening of, as crazy as it sounds, I was like, oh, like you can actually make money online. My next sale was $16, and that's, a little bit better. And I was like, okay, now you really can, like, if I keep doing this, like, it's going to keep growing, right? If I keep putting time and focus on this thing, it's like, start at 49 cents, prove to me that you could actually make money. $16, I got a $16 check, but hey, it might as well have been $1 million, because it showed me that this whole online thing, right? It wasn't a scam. It was actually like legit. As I held up the check, I should have, I should put it in a picture frame if I didn't actually need it at that time. Yeah. But absolutely, like I said, absolutely amazing. That I was like, oh my gosh, like this is real, and this is going to work, right? And I just kept telling myself every single day, this is going to work, this is going to work, and kept saying it's working. And yeah, I was able, after about 12 months. I think really any online business, or any business really, you should give yourself 12 months to grow. A lot of people see this like overnight success, and hear these kids. There's like a 6-year-old or something doing 26 million on YouTube, right? Showing off toys and things, and they hear of these things and they're like, oh, if that kid can do it, I can do it. So it's, don't compare yourself to others, and give yourself time, to succeed. So many people, start just going in, and after a month, after 2 months, after 3 months, they say, I'm not succeeding. This is a scam. This isn't working. And, that's where I kept going, kept telling myself, this is going to work. This is going to work. This is working. This is working. It's, going to continue working. And so, yeah, so after a year, I think, about when we, met up in Florida. Was it there? You were there
last year?
Florida. No,
Yeah.
a couple.
last February, I came and visited you in Florida. I had just gone to the 10X Growth Conference with Grant Cardone, and there
Oh yeah,
was 35,000 people in an
it's incredible.
auditorium, all wanting to learn how to do online sales. And what was really amazing about it was I was thinking, the first event that I ever went to, I was 7 years old. It was an Amway event. And there was like 40 people in a room, talking about this new thing, working on, selling to your friends and family kind of thing. And the same stuff they try and do with MLMs today, which is ridiculous because we actually have online marketing techniques and an entire world of people that we can get in contact with, but they still want you to reach out to your friends and family because that's how they make money. That's not how you make money. So I went to this event because I had already bought my tickets to Funnel Hacking Live. And one of the bonuses for Funnel Hacking Live was that you could get free tickets to the Grant Cardone event. So I was like, I'm going. I got in the car. I drove down there. I got an Airbnb with he's in the Air Force, but we were in Korea together, Army buddy of mine. So we hadn't seen each other in about 5 years. And for some reason, we contacted each other out of the blue. And I was like, yeah, what do you got going on? He's like, oh, I'm going to Miami in February. I was like, yeah, so am I. What are you going for? I'm going to this 10X thing. I was like, you're going to the Grant Cardone event? He's like, yeah. I was like, I'll get the Airbnb. We'll stay together. So it worked out really well. Nice. It was exciting. Yeah. We really got to touch bases again and get back together. The Grant Cardone, the thing that was so crazy about the Grant Cardone event to me was it was an absolute rock concert. And I'm thinking back in my 7-year-old brain to guys in double-breasted suits standing around smoking cigarettes, trying to network with it. I'll give you my business card, man. Get in touch with me, and maybe you get, that's what sales conferences were to me. And now, of course, 40 years later, they've changed a little bit. But Snoop Dogg was there, and Little John was there, and like all of these people that Grant Cardone jumped out of an airplane and parachuted through the roof of the auditorium. I mean, it was an absolute rock concert. Not great for networking because it was so loud in there. But Russell Brunson did speak at that event, and that's why I really wanted to go. And then the following event at the end of the month was Funnel Hacking Live. So I went down to Tennessee, Nashville, and went to that. And that was mind-blowing. That was absolutely life-changing because there's only 4,000 people in the room now. And you're all there to help each other. And you're bonding, you're networking. I have friends to this day from having gone to that event and just really tight-knit. When you go to something like that and you realize that there's an entire tribe of people who are trying to do the exact kind of thing that you're trying to do, who don't think you're crazy for being online or the idea that you can create something for yourself, but they support it instead, that's when you found your tribe. And so many of us have sat, behind the computer, or if you're trying to make a brick and mortar business and your family's like, you're never going to make anything of yourself. Why do you keep wasting your time on these stupid ideas that just get you further in the hole? And you hear this stuff all the time and you don't have anybody supporting you. But then you get into this group where everybody's fired up. Everybody knows it can happen. And at the end of the event, everybody who made $1 million in that year gets up and goes to the stage to receive a plaque from Russell Brunson. And there was 250 of them in the room with me out of 4,000 people who had made $1 million that year. And I'm like, this guy's going up. I've been talking to this guy all weekend, and all of a sudden your brain makes this switch where it's like, it's possible. I mean, you're telling yourself it's possible. You're telling yourself it's possible, but your brain is going, it's possible, but it's not possible for me. Right. And then you see this guy who just, maybe he's sitting right in front of you, or you guys went and grabbed coffee together on the break. And then he goes up and he gets his plaque where he earned $1 million in a year. And your brain switches like that. Boom. Mm-hmm. I can do this.
Oh, it makes it real. 100%. It makes it real. Absolutely. And I went to one the same thing in Funnel Hacking Live a couple years ago. And same thing. It was just, absolutely astonishing. And, they have the badges and you look down and you're talking to someone and the badge, will say 2 Comma Club. winner. And he's like, yeah, I just hit it. My business just did over $1 million. And, it's so amazing. Like you said, just to be around those people, be in that environment, the energy that you come out with. Right. And, it's like that just kind of stays with you after that, after you, just walk out of the building. It's amazing. It's one of those, you just don't want to sleep for days, right? You just come out with so many ideas and, so much positivity, you said around you, and everybody has the same kind of, frame of mind. And, it's just like to succeed and to make an impact and to make a difference in the world. And, that's what we're all here to do as entrepreneurs, right? It's just make a big difference.
Make a difference and help others make a difference.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's our goal here with 1,000 Dad Jobs, is we want to teach 1,000 stay-at-home dads that it's possible to still provide for their families without sacrificing their hero status.
Yeah. I mean, and while I'm not a dad, I can appreciate so much what, 1,000 Dad Jobs stands for. It really makes me think of just legacy building, right? And, it's kind of like the reason that I'm, hustling and just doing whatever I have to do right now, right? Is just like, so I can have more time for, my future family, future kids, and actually leave them with a legacy. And, it's one of the things that's like, I think a lot of people, talk about, like, I'm not talking about raising some, spoiled brats, but, I want to be able to give my family, just the ability to have that privilege and understand that they're already starting kind of with a leg up, right? To where I know you and I, we both didn't really start, kind of start from very humble beginnings, and, where, we didn't really start with a great opportunity. And, heck, I mean, I remember living in, the trailer park when I was in middle school, and, my dad was going through a third divorce, and we had to move to, kind of from our nice home and, in this nicer neighborhood to a trailer park. And, my friends and things, I was still going to the same school, and they're like, hey, where did you move? We'll come over to your house. And I was like, no, like, it's too far. It's down the road. I'm going to ride my bike. I'll come to your all's house. I'll ride my bike down the street. And, it's, so it's like one of those, I was like, kind of, saw what you could have, and then it was all kind of taken away. And, it's one of those things now that I'm like, all right, it's so many dads out there. And like I said, as, hopefully a future dad myself, that it's, I want to be able to provide, for my family. And there's no security, I learned, right, at a 9-to-5 job. You're just kind of a number. You can be let go at any time. And, that's what these 1,000 Dad Jobs, right? There's thousands of opportunities online. There's so many different ways that you can become an entrepreneur and kind of build that security and build those different income streams to make it to where, you don't have to struggle. Your family doesn't have to struggle, and future generations, if you want to, just see it that big and build that legacy, don't have to struggle, that they aren't entitled, but they can have that privilege, to be able to have that leg up. And so I think that's, just so important to be able to do.
Absolutely. And you had the opportunity to sort of rebuild that relationship with your father when you went back to Florida. So that, I know he's an awesome man. You had an opportunity to do that and really learn that, it's not necessarily whether you live in the trailer park or not, but that relationship is what's super important.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can, it's one of the biggest things that he was, he got hit with that, it's going through multiple divorces. It kind of takes away. Right. And, he kind of explained, but he always got back up on his horse. He was like, hey, he's like, we're down, I've been knocked off, but hey, I'm getting right back up. And so kind of, he's taught me a ton of different things. And, being down here, and actually being able, like you said, kind of connect, with him again has been great. And, he's been a heck of an entrepreneur and built multiple businesses. And, he's one of the most creative, men I've ever met in my life. And, if someone just would listen to him and just write down, I've tried to like write down as fast as I can with like ideas that he's, kind of just spewing out. He's like, what if, this, or someone could do this. And, actually I know you're in the real estate and you do a lot of work with real estate agents. Back in the 70s, he had this idea, or it might've been the 80s, that he had this idea of actually, he was like, what if we took a, video camera and, recorder, went through a house and showed people, the houses, instead of taking them each house, he's like one at a time driving them. And cause he was a real estate agent, or he was a broker. My mother was a real estate agent. And he's like, what if we did that? And he's like, we play, put the cassette in and we play it for them. And, on the TV, so we can say like, hey, this is what the house looks like, and kind of start ruling out houses from there. He's like, showing them, and people are like, no, I don't like that. He's like, all right, perfect. He's like, man, he's like, I bet. And, now, of course, you got 3D virtual,
Yeah, that's one of my main gigs.
So, yeah. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, he could have made millions, off of this, if this idea, if he had, actually brought it to fruition.
Oh, that's really cool. But how much time did they save with that idea instead of driving to each house and finding out that the client didn't like the house and then having to slough off to the next one with that, like the weight of the house they didn't like on them too. And then they go to the next house and they're like, oh, is this person going to show me anything I like? Instead, they do it all in the office and they say, all right, here's your three potentials and we'll go see those. So I'm sure it worked out really well for them at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And now it's all online and,
that's it.
I do the walkthrough videos. I've got this fancy little gimbal. It's only this big and I can just like walk through the house and record everything in 4K. I mean, the technology is so amazing now. I've got another one that my whole camera rig sits on and it's like this big and, have to carry it around like that. And it's like, it ends up being like 20 pounds and you're walking around with 20 pounds locked in like this. Don't wiggle and don't shake or you ruin the shot. But I've got it's a little bit bigger than my glasses case and I can just do this. And it's like a drone in my hand. It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
So I'm really excited about being able to do that. And I love just putting the films together, I feel like every home has got this, and I've always worked with older homes. I haven't really done any brand new real estate, anything like that, but I've always worked with older homes. And I feel like every house has a story to tell. And so I try and put the music to the mood of that house. And I try and tell the story of that home in each one of my films. So I try and go a little bit beyond here's 2 bedrooms and here's a bathroom and it has a full basement. I want to I want, and I've had people tell me, especially people who have owned the home, who have said, this film that you made has brought tears to my wife's eyes.
Oh, that's amazing. It's especially, to be an artist and have someone, really compliment your work like that. That's so great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So I love being able to do that. Well, do we get an idea of where Megan's stuff is coming out? Do you have a place you want to send us?
We'll always come out probably with some updates on megansiemens.com. That's where you can find some of the updates coming up. We'll if I do the right targeting, you'll see her in some ads and see some of our stuff there. You can always reach her on Megan Siemens. You can reach, really we're active on Instagram a whole lot. So her Instagram is Megan Siemens and mine is at the Andrew Johnston. So all just one word, the on Andrew Instagram. Johnston. Yep, on Instagram. Okay. So that's where we hang out the most. And even if I'm not posting every single day, I'll answer messages and normally be posting stories. You can catch us, kind of in our reality TV.
Yeah,
in our
awesome.
Stories.
I want to make sure that I spell Megan Siemens right. I always forget if it's with an H or without an H for Megan.
It's without an H, so it's MEGANSEAMANS.
SEAMANS?
SEAMANS.
Okay, I got that. Perfect. And then
Johnston with a T.
Instagram at the Andrew Johnston. Perfect. All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you jumping on here, brother, and all of your wisdom that you shared with us. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share before we jump off for the evening?
Well, I do want to say that thanks for having me on here. It's been great catching up with you and talking to you. We definitely need to do this more often. And, just biggest thing, what I was saying earlier is just take that first step. If you haven't already, I know that you have a lot of entrepreneurs in your audience already. So a lot of already taken that first step. But, if you haven't, it's the biggest thing is just take that first step and, just fall forward and just keep going forward. Right. And, just don't look back. Again, what's that saying where if you look in the rear view mirror for too long, you're going to crash. Right. So just keep looking forward, keep taking steps forward. and you'll eventually succeed. It's truly, it's inevitable, right? If you keep taking positive steps forward and keep working towards your dream, keep focusing on your goal. Don't let any outside influence, which is, I know it's so hard, but keep blinders on and just keep heading towards that goal of yours.
That's awesome. And that was one of the things that you taught me years ago. I was really bad at comparing myself to everybody around me and what they were doing in a similar business. And I was like, why aren't I doing this? Why aren't I doing this? And you said, stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Just compare yourself to you and do what is natural to you. So that really helped me out a lot. I super appreciate that
Absolutely.
advice. And we are at 1000dadjobs.com if you want more information. And of course, we have YouTube and Facebook and Instagram are all 1000 Dad Jobs as well. So if you would like to get in touch with us there, we answer all questions. So go ahead and drop a question down in the comment box below or find us at one of those places. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for jumping on, and God bless you.